What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. We're going to ignore the fact it's 9 degrees, the sun's out, the sky's blue. We're taking another bike out, and today we are taking out the Kawasaki Versys 1000 SE. This bike is brand new, and when I say brand new, I mean it's got just under 12 miles on the clock. So we will be taking it a little bit easy today. It is cold, brand new tyres, new brakes. We'll just be taking our time. We're going to enjoy the road. Not only is this the SE model, but this is the Grand Tourer line. Kawasaki like to maximise all of their base bike models, and by that I mean there is the Versys 1000, Versys 1000S, Versys 1000 SE. Within those three, you've then got the Versys 1000 SE, the 1000 SE Tourer, the 1000 SE Grand Tourer. So you've not only got three bases on the same engine, you've then got three models in each of those three bases. You can't say you aren't sport for choice with Kawasaki. Just to give you an idea, the 1000 SE price range starts at 15,500, and this here, the 1000 SE Grand Tourer, is £17,200. But remember, this is the 2022. Kawasaki have released their 23 lineup, so if you are in the market for this, now's the time to start looking. Dealers are definitely going to start putting some deals on to get rid of the 22 line, ready for the 2023. Starting us off with this bike is the engine. This engine is packing in the 1043cc and packs 102 newton meters of torque. Now, that's not the most amount of torque, especially for a bike of this weight class, but how Kawasaki have done it is they've tuned the engine so all the torque is designed for that low to mid-range power. Once we know the size of the bike and how fast we're going to go, the next most important thing is the braking power. We've got 310mm floating discs at the front, 250 at the rear, and even though they are new pads, new brakes, they are definitely sharp enough to get the job done. Yeah, red light, seat height of 840mm. I do have my toes on the floor. I'm not flat-footed on both feet. I am 6 foot, just for the record. Obviously, when you are sat on the bike and you look down, it is quite big, and then when you are at the traffic lights, you do notice a little bit of weight. I say that because this bike comes in at 257 kilos. That is not light for a bike. When you are moving though, Kawasaki have done a good job of keeping the weight low in the bike, so actually you can't really feel it. It's not top heavy, which is a nice thing, especially when a bike weighs this much. This engine and gearbox is really smooth. No complaints coming off from stationary. Like we said, with that low end torque, it just makes things really easy. One thing you do notice is this doesn't have hill hold assist. As you can tell, I'm rolling backwards. Something that is nice to see, especially on a top end motorcycle, costing £17,000. It's a Tourer, it's designed to have luggage, designed to have someone on the back. Hill hold assist, it's just a nice thing to add on. They've got the technology, because I was on the H2SX yesterday, and that has it. So Kawasaki have got it. Let's put it in. As I mentioned, the seat height is 840mm, but what Kawasaki have done is they've given you two options of seats. The standard one, which is the comfort one, which is 840, or a lowered option, which is 20mm lower, so 820mm, which I think makes this bike almost ideal for most riders. As you can see there, low speed, basic manoeuvring, really easy on this bike. Yeah, putting your hazards on is not ideal because we don't know if you're stopping, you know. Indicator, do it left and then moving. With this being the SE line, this does have Kawasaki's semi-active electronic suspension, and so far in the base setting of what the bike has got, I've had absolutely no problems soaking up all these bumps. The usual back end road, really nice and really comfortable as well. Obviously this is the Grand Tourer line, and so what do you get for your extra couple of quid? Well, starting at the front of the bike, we have got the fog lights, and those can be activated with a little button down there, grey button with the green light to the left of it. Push that, turns them on, gives you that extra bit of visibility on the night road. Also, it makes you a little bit more visible to other road users as well. That's nice. People tend to ignore you anyway, so anything that will add another little layer of them being able to see, I like it. So that's why I've got mine turned on straight away. Moving back from that, we have got this GPS bracket. So obviously this is the touring bike. You are going to want some form of GPS or phone for your sat nav, so I've given you that capability straight away. We've got these lovely frame sliders on the side of the bike, but the biggest and most noticeable thing is going to be the luggage. We've got the two side panniers, 28 litres per side. Kawasaki claim to be able to fit most full face helmets into the sides. And then at the back we've got a 47 litre top box, and Kawasaki also say you can fit two full size full face helmets in them as well. Something I like, because if me and Zoe were to go out, pull up somewhere, we don't want to carry our helmets, you can whack them in the side bags. That's my biggest gripe with the 1290 GT panniers, is currently I can't fit this helmet in them, so it is frustrating. So then it just means you've got to carry them around. I don't like chaining them to the bike. There's too many thieves around, too many people with bolt croppers that will just nip it, and there you go. There goes my £500 helmet. One thing to note as well is the back box does have a nice pad on it, so if you have got a passenger on there, they have got something to lean against rather than just a hard plastic case. What I do like about these side bags as well is that the mounting system is integrated into the bodywork and the frame of the bike, so you don't need anything extra sticking on the bike at all times when the bags are off it. Clip the bags on, lock them up. They've got a one key system, so the ignition key is what then goes on into the side boxes along with that top box, so you haven't got to carry around a bunch of keys. And if you do want to take them off when you're back at home, and then you just unlock them and then pull them off. Really nice and simple design by Kawasaki. There are quite a few manufacturers doing it now. KTM have done it as well for the GT. No extra rack required. This windscreen here is adjustable using these knobs on the left and right hand side, but as I found out earlier, the only legal way to change them is to pull over, because you need to undo both of them, move it to your desired place, and then tighten them back up. Another obvious way is you could activate the cruise control, take both hands off the handlebars, lean forward and do it. I personally think, especially this is designed to be a touring style bike, is they need to have a one-handed action to be able to release, move the screen and then lock it back in place. Companies need to stop doing it where you need both hands to do it. Tell you what, it's warming up. Even though it's 9 degrees, it is a lovely day out today. When I pull over in a bit and I do a walk around and a sound test, I'll show you what I mean. But what I am noticing when I'm in first gear, it's the clutch pedal. There's a lot of play going down once you're in first. I've not really noticed that much on other bikes, which is normally pretty stiff when you're in first, but there is definitely an inch or so of play, which I don't like. Handlebar, very similar if not the same as the 1000 SX and the H2 SX. Makes sense. If it works, don't change it. Saves Kawasaki some money as well by using the same product across different lines. Having a quick look then, on the left hand side you've got your heated grip button. Always nice to see, especially this time of year. You've got a modes button up and down, and then to change them, all you're going to do is you're going to long press 2 to 3 seconds whilst off the throttle, and then at the minute you can see I'm in sport. You hold down to go to road, down again to go to rain, and then down again to go to rider. Rider's at the bottom, and then to go back to sport you have to hold it up all the way. Keep doing that, up, up, up. Rider is when you can activate your phone Bluetooth connection to the bike, and then you can change the settings: engine braking, throttle, traction control, some of the suspension as well, because obviously it's a semi-active electronic suspension. You better change all that in the parameters on the phone. Continuing on at the front there, at the top with your left trigger finger, we have got the passing light and then the full beam. To the right of that, we've got our cruise control, so turn it on and then activate it, and then go up and down the speed. Your reset button when you're in the menu, indicators, horn and hazard. Right hand side, really simple: kill switch, start switch, and underneath your select button. That select button will only work when you're in neutral and you're stationary. Hold that, that's when the menu then activates on the screen. Use the mode button, which is the up and down arrow, to go through the menu, and then in the middle of the mode button it says preload with an arrow to the right, so that's your enter button. Once you're done with the settings in the screen, you then push the reset button, and then that will bring you back out of that heading. If you keep pushing that a couple of times, it will take you back to the standard screen you can see now. I'll show you quickly when I have pulled over again the different screen, but there's Kawasaki give you two different screens to use: type 1 and type 2. This is currently type 2, and it's showing me things like brake pressure, as you can see there, going up and down, and then throttle, and it's also got things like your lean angle, and then everything else you would expect to see on a dash: gear, fuel, time, speed, everything like that. One obvious thing with this bike is it does have a smaller TFT screen to the right, and then your more old school rev counter on the left, with all the lights going around it, so your indicators, your neutral light, your engine light, things like that. I wonder if for 23 they've got rid of that and they've incorporated a single TFT. I know for 100% sure that the 23 Versys 650 has got a single 6.5 inch TFT screen, so if I was a better man I'd say that they've also put that onto the 1000 as well. The setup of this bike is really comfortable. Got a nice comfy seat, knees aren't too bent, foot pegs are in a comfortable position, handlebar nice relaxed in front of you. My top half is fairly straight. What that will mean is there's going to be less strain on your wrists because you're not leant forward, but your weight's still got to go somewhere. So if it's not taken up partially by your wrist, that means it's all going to be through your bum. So that's one thing to note if you are going to do long distance and to be mindful of, as you may find some discomfort. I don't know, I've only been on the bike an hour or so, and so far I've not had any problems. It's nice to see all the bikers out. So far it's been most of the touring adventure style bikers. I am currently heading down to West Bay, which is our kind of go-to place. 45 minutes from Holshot. Nice little back roads, a little bit of motorway on the way back. Lovely destination down there. Fish and chips. Bikers like to go and congregate, so there's always someone to talk to, and that's a good thing with the biking community. I'm out by myself today. Normally Zoe's with me, but I'm riding solo today, and there'll be someone down there to chat to. I'm still wearing summer gloves, mainly because I don't like how thick winter gloves are, but even though it's been freezing this morning, can't feel the wind because of these big old handguards. I'll say the exhaust has got a bit of a whirry engine sound to it, but also alongside a bit of a deep tone to it. I approve, Kawasaki, I approve. As I mentioned, the bike isn't the lightest around, and that is going to be also aided by this fuel tank, 21 litre fuel tank, so that is definitely going to enable you to cover some miles. My GT has a 23 litre fuel tank, and for that I can get around 220 miles, depending on how I ride and what I'm carrying, so I wouldn't be surprised if you would see that kind of mileage out of this bike as well. Perks for having a motorcycle. Here we go. Little town of West Bay. There's actually a Helmet City as well, just in that back corner. And this is where the bikers hang out. Look at them all. Glorious. Lovely. Simply lovely. Looks like we're going in there. Yeah, buddy.
That's a long demo ride, isn't it?
So,
shop and you just borrowed the demo, or you
so I've got a YouTube channel, and I do their videos for them for their demo bikes.
you get to borrow bikes.
Yeah, that's it. Have a good day. Like I said, biking community. As soon as I pulled up, started talking to someone, and there you go, pulling away and chatting to someone again. Other than having LEDs all round and the fog lights, this bike also comes with cornering lights. Another thing I like to see on bikes nowadays is better lighting. If you've ever ridden in the dark, you know as soon as you go around a corner, the beam goes to the left if you're on a left bend, and then the corner you're going into just goes dark. So these corner lights, they'll come on, and there's 3 bulbs, and they're designed so that they're tied to the lean of the bike, that each bulb will come on at say 10-degree intervals. So first bulb 10 degrees, 20 degrees, second bulb 30 degrees, third bulb, something like that. Probably not as aggressive as 30 degrees because that is a pretty good lean, but you get the gist. What I do like to see, especially on a touring style bike, is some form of way of charging your phone, your camera, your sat nav, whatever it may be. On the left hand side there, we do have your standard 12-volt socket. That's pumping out 40 watts, so that's a strong amount of wattage to charge your phone. As you can see, I've got the camera connected, and it's just a nice little added feature rather than have to run a separate USB charger from the battery. I should have mentioned the brakes earlier. I am starting to notice that the rear brake is a little bit weak, but it's the front that's definitely where the maximum power comes from for this bike's braking power, is those front brakes. You do notice some vibes. So 4th gear, 45 miles an hour, there are some vibes starting to come through the pegs. But dual carriageway speed, 6th gear, not really many vibrations coming through the pegs or handlebars. And this tool screen is adjustable, and at its highest point the wind buffeting is kind of at the very tip of my helmet, so I can't really feel anything. That's always the main thing for me, is if there's some form of a screen, where does that buffeting start? Nothing worse than it being kind of middle of your helmet, so your head's just like this. I either prefer a big enough screen so that I've got a clean air and then no buffet on the helmet, or like my Aprilia, no screen at all, so then the wind is just spread across your whole body, so you don't get any funny buffeting in certain areas. Even at the highest point, not sure how it looks on the camera, but this is not in my eye line, so it's not going to distract you from the road. I have noticed on some other bikes with the tool screen that in the highest position it's kind of right in that perfect part of your vision when you're starting to get into the twisties, where it kind of distorts the road a little bit. But no dramas with this screen at all. This bike does come with a quick shifter up and down, and I wouldn't say it's the best gearbox shifter I've had as an experience with Kawasaki bikes. A little bit clunky sometimes. I found when you start banging down the gears, it does like jolt you forward slightly. It's not just like pop, 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 pop. Whereas on some of the others, H2SX, the ZH2, ZX10, those quick shifter gearboxes were absolutely beautiful. This, it ain't the best, that's all I'm going to say. Yeah, it may be what I call user error. Sometimes if you try and use the shifter in the wrong rev range, i.e. too low, it can obviously have an effect of how the bike handles when it's changing the gears. Sometimes it just won't want to change if you're doing it too low, especially. But listen to that exhaust. So she sounds good. Definitely in the middle of the rev range you can feel those vibrations, but that was second gear. But if you're just casually going through and not getting on it, it ain't too bad. Got to remember I got the side bags on. That's one thing I always tend to forget, especially in roads like this, or when you're starting to overtake or filter. Don't want to get caught short by a bush or the car. An added item I have seen across some of the Kawasaki line is not only does it have a side stand, but it also has a centre stand. Me personally, I don't use the centre stand, so I'd probably remove it if I could, save a little bit of weight, just gets rid of something I ain't going to use. But then I know some people do use them, especially winter time. When it comes to winterising your bike, getting it ready to pack away for the winter period, having something that you can elevate both wheels off the floor is important. So if you don't have front and rear paddock stand, a centre stand's absolutely ideal for that. Let's have a little walk around, show you around the bike, do a little sound test, see when she's on and she's warmed up. We'll do the sound test. Like I said, 1043cc, inline 4, stock exhaust. I think it sounds pretty good for a stock exhaust. Like I said, it's got a bit of a higher pitch whir from the engine, and you got that deep grumble from the exhaust. I like it. Yeah, adjustable screen. You can see the bracket there where it moves up and down. LEDs all round, cornering lights, fog lights. That's what they look like when they're on. Easier frame sliders, which I mentioned earlier. Comes on the Grand Tourer pack. Luggage, nice and big. Gets your helmets, get all your gear in there. Big, comfy seat for the rider. But then look at the passenger seat. Probably one of the biggest ones I've seen. So we've got our centre stand down here. Quick run through of the TFT screen and the menus. Like I said, select button on the right hand side, hold that a few seconds, there we go. The select button is going to be the enter button. Mode arrows up and down the menu, and then the reset is going to be to come back. So go down, enter display, press select, and there you go, mode type 2, or we can change it to mode type 1. Change the brightness. The screen will also change from black and white depending on the ambient light around you. So your trip information, you've got the top bar here, and then the bottom one. To change the information on the top one, you're going to use the top arrow, and in the bottom one you're going to use the bottom arrow. So max lean left and right, odometer, trip A, trip B, and then your current lean left and right. There you can go, see that. Underneath, average fuel, range, average speed, total time, battery, and then miles per gallon, and that's it. Pretty simple. Like I said, you can change more stuff when you go into the rider mode via the phone and the app. Change the settings, update it how you want it, get on the road and enjoy it. And that is exactly what I'm about to do now. Cancel that. Just quickly show you what I mean by the squidgy shifter. So we're in first. See how much play there is. Hopefully the camera picks it up. That's a lot of play for a bike when it's in first. There we go. Let's get back on it. So I don't know if you noticed there on the camera, but like I said, with the quick shifter there is a little bit of a lug when you're getting on it hard, or if you're downshifting a few gears in one go, there is a bit of a jolt. My final thoughts and opinions on this bike: the responsiveness of the engine and the torque. I think this bike is best suited for someone who is going to want to use it on the Sunday ride, who's going to want to take it on touring, not afraid to get it out, in the winterish months, but it's not going to be asking massive amount of the engine. It doesn't want to be having those thrills, that exhilarating power of the torque, because it just doesn't have it. It's a good bike, it is smooth, it's not massively exciting, should we say, but if you want a bike that handles nicely, has got the reliability of Kawasaki, it's got some great luggage, then this is definitely a contender. Like I've said, there's 3 different model lines, so if you can't afford 17.5 grand for the top tier, go and look at the others. Do we need electronic suspension? Like I've said in previous videos, personally I think if you've got a normal suspension, go and get it set up properly by a professional, and that will do you just as much good as having an electronic suspension. That in its own will save you several £1000s. Going from the model with manual suspension to this SE, you're going to save some pretty penny just doing that. Would I personally buy this bike? No. Me, I like something with a bit of character. I like to be able to do wheelies. I'm trying to stay young at heart, so that's why I went for my 1290 Super Duke GT. It's something that has a fantastic engine when it works. If you've seen my other GT videos, you know my GT is broken. That's a touring bike with a bike that can do wheelies. Kawasaki have made a bike to do exactly what they wanted it for. This is going to be a smooth bike to have 2 up, luggage, and go enjoy some Swiss Alps. But personally, it's not the bike for me. And that is the beautiful thing with biking. There are so many different bikes out there by different manufacturers that this will be spot on for certain people, and then it will just completely turn off others. Find a bike that floats your boat and enjoy it. As always guys, this video would not be possible without the support to the channel from the dealerships, so a massive thank you to Whole Shot for lending me this bike today to do this video. As I said, brand new, so I feel honoured to have broken it in. And if you have enjoyed this video and found it useful, then please make sure you like the video. More importantly, subscribe to the channel and turn on the bell notification. If you think this bike might be the one for you, make sure you head on over to there, Whole Shot in Yeovil, say hello, mention DSR, and take out this bike. I'll see you in the next video, and as always, ride safe.